Yo, no maniacs. Good afternoon. This is Nomad Live. All Bears all the time in conjunction with Sports Zone Chicago. Got my trustees here with me today. My guy, the Canuck. Got Shawn Sierra. We got Keith. Also have Chris in the background who will periodically poke his head in here for some conversation. But the show and theme of the show was who's your combine crush, which we will get to at some point. I got multiple guys that I want to talk about. But we would be remiss if we didn't get to the news of the day because, of course, Ryanpoles had a presser today at the Combine and also Flus. And there's a bunch of speculation behind it. It's it's a bunch of people on both sides of the argument, jump to a conclusion about this, jump to a conclusion about that. And it's just a bunch of people in the middle scratching their heads, right? So let me preface what I'm going to say with a little bit of background about me. In my profession, being a mental health professional, over the years I had to learn to read people. So that without going into a whole lot of detail, while most people are listening to someone when they're talking, I'm reading. And so my background, prepares you for stuff like that for years and years and years. I've done this. And that's what I was doing when I was watching Poles talk. I was doing a lot of reading. I was also listening as well. There was this show some of you people may be familiar with called Lie to Me. I forget that actor's name, but it's a really good show. It's one of those persons. Kid, I see you thinking over there. What you thinking?
Timothy
something Roth, right, or something like that.
Tim Roth. You got it. That's it. It.
So in that show, I never watched like a whole season of it, but I periodically from time to time check it out, and he is really good at reading people's body languages and kind of discerning whether or not this person is telling you the truth. And I thought that was the most interesting show that was on TV at the time. I just really never had time to watch it, but it's a very interesting show, and that's what I do a lot. I just read. And what I saw today was a GM that went out there with the intent to drive up the value of that draft pick by doing what? Remaining non-committal. He threw a few words out there that a lot of people held on to, and they pretty much got him on a plane, Justin on a plane to Vegas or Atlanta and everywhere else. That's not what I saw at all. I heard some key things in there. We're going to talk about all of it. But I saw a guy with the intent of going out there to be non-committal and drive up the value of that pick. That was my take from it after I'd seen it twice now. And so that's what I got from it, kids. But you want to give some pleasantry before you answer that or respond to it?
Why not? Hey, no maniacs, what's cracking? Good to see you guys out there in the chat. Good to be back here with my brothers, Keith, Shawn, Nomad. Let's get into a little bit of that. You saw it basically the way that I saw it. What you folks are going to see out there on X in the Twitterverse is people sort of spinning it however they see fit. Sure, you could spin this as in a direction where it looks, smells, and feels like Ryanpoles is done with Justin Fields and he's moving forward with Caleb. But realistically, the Happy Bears GM went out there and he said absolutely nothing. The first thing he said when he went out there was, "Hey, look, I have just about nothing to say. I'm not revealing anything. I'm not giving you guys anything. I'm just I'm here because there's a couple of things I want to touch on." And one of those things, in my opinion, was just the Justin St. Brown Brothers podcast. He touched on it a little bit, and clearly he sees and feels the way that Justin might feel in this situation. He understands it. He sort of touched on it just by saying, look, he's in an odd case scenario, and I'd like to give him some clarity. It's tough to be living in the gray. And, if the GM can understand where Justin's mindset is, I think, the rest of us should be able to do the same thing. So,
you mind if I add something to it? I forgot to mention it while I was introing. I also watched the djmoore interview he did with the NFL Network that just came out. And DJ, you know how DJ is. He's very vague, but he offered up some non-solicited information that he spoke to Justin. He's been in contact with him, and he intimated to the guy that was interviewing him, we know some things. Between us, we know some stuff. And so that, to me, you couple that with what Ryanpoles said, they're keeping those guys in abreast of everything that's going on. Those dudes know exactly what the game is, and the game is to drive up the value of that pick. They can't say anything right now. It'd be stupid to say anything right now, you know.
Yeah,
But
if anything they could possibly say, and that include all three of those guys that we just sort of brought up: Ryan Poles, DJ Moore, Justin Fields. If anybody says anything outside of that, there is a potential that they might draft Caleb Williams. That drops the stock of that trade. That trade value goes down, and makes it much less likely that they will secure the trade and the capital that they're looking for. Therefore, they would be pushed into a situation where they trade Justin. So what's really funny about all this, guys, the funny part, the ironic part, is that the media is so focused one way, polarized, to get Justin out of town, and it's exactly what Ryan Poles requires to keep Justin here.
I don't think it. I don't think it devalues the pick, because once it's on the market, then the piranhas are going to come, and they know, and it's open season, and everybody's going to. They know at that particular point, you got to come with your best offer. I just think the fact that it's vague. I think the fact that as long as you think that he wants Caleb Williams, and he's going to do his due diligence, you're going to have to come off with a historic haul for him to give up that pick. If he intimates that he wants Caleb Williams, but he'll listen. Like, okay, well, how do I get this? Well, he really wants Caleb, but he is willing to deal, and I think that's, and I love the fact that nothing's leaked out. I love the fact that, he's been such a phenomenal poker player, and I said it yesterday. Like, he is given a master's class on how to be a GM. All right, nothing has come out, and some people are saying, some podcasters like, oh, they're not on Justin Fields. They don't know if Justin Fields is the guy, or they don't think Justin Fields is the guy. And I'm like, you don't know that. I said, unless you heard it from Ryan Poles, like, you don't know that. All right. Opinion is, and it's all we're doing is giving opinions. So don't say he goes, it's a reality. I'm like, come on, bro. I'm like, it's just frustrating because we don't know. No one knows. Only people who know are them. And, anyway.
It's a brilliant game of chess, Shawn, is what you see.
Yeah. Chess, not checkers, man. That's, hashtag chess, not checkers. And that's the whole thing, is that if you want that number one pick because you really want Caleb Williams or Drake May, doesn't matter who the hell it is, you're gonna have to come up off that pick because off a haul, because the Bears, or you think the Bears want it. So in other words, you're gonna have to pay a premium, and that's what he's doing. Just as you said, no, man, he is driving the price up. He's making sure that premium on that pick goes through the roof. So. And as he should.
Well, actually, what I saw, I agree with everybody so far, is a game of non-committal versus leverage.
Pete, before you continue, I'd just like to throw a little bit of love to the checkers players out there. Checkers is a fun game. I appreciate some checkers. I'm pretty good at that.
I do too. But no, actually, I mean, I love the fact that, man, everything has just been very, enveloped shut. Nothing's coming out, nothing's leaking out. So which lets you know that Ryan Poles has a very firm grasp on what's going on at Hallis Hall. Everybody's committed to keeping everything tight-lipped, and that's including players. That's including whoever you think about it, with whether it's Kevin Warren, who's been interviewed thus far. And I think it's starting to drive certain members of the media crazy, because at one point they were considered themselves in, but now it seems like they're more or less out and not getting information. So now the speculation is being tossed around. But based off of the interview that I listened to, what I did hear is a guy, one, that is empathetic to the players. He made mention that hey, I wanted to give Cody Whitehair and Bojack an opportunity to get out there on the market early and see what's available to them. With regard to with Justin, hey, I understand how he may be feeling. But one thing that I really took from it was not so much the non-committal part as much as how he's really leveraging everything, even to the point where I could see them doing what Green Bay did with Jordan Love with Justin Fields. Not necessarily picking up the fifth year option as much as saying, you know what, we could potentially extend this guy, give him an extra year or two, and let's play this out and see how this really comes together while we're still building this. Because let's be honest, we're really now in year two, going into year two of the rebuild. So I just think that right now, based off of the interviews today, along with some things that even Flus kind of threw out there, that um, yet there has been no commitment voiced. I think they pretty much know what direction they're going in, and now it's all about leverage.
So let me throw you guys a few nuggets of stuff. I told you I watched it twice. First time I was reading, second time I was listening for words. Let me now before I get into the wording part of it, let me tell you, when you go back, if anybody chooses to go back and watch that interview again, go back and just turn the volume down and just read his body language and just watch him swaying back and forth. That was nervous energy, trying to convince people of something. That's how you read that. He was trying his best to convince people and stay non-committal. The more you watch it and listen to it, the more brilliant I think Ryan Poles is. He knew exactly what to do, but how was he? He was out there to sell. He was out there to sell everybody that we've got all options on the table, guys. That's the message. We know what we're going to do, but you need to take in the fact that we have all options on the table. And so here were a couple of keywords. Somebody asked him, what's he looking for if he were to go in the direction of a rookie QB? What kind of leader is he? This is a quote. What kind of leader is he? Another quote. How does he handle pressure? Another quote. How will he handle pressure in a big city like Chicago? Now, before I let these guys respond to that, let me tell you what I observed watching Caleb Williams from afar. Watching him when he was at USC. All of those were red flags. Every last one of them. Every last one of them were red flags. Not to diminish the character of this young man. Not here to do that. But my observation of him was he was sorely lacking in every one of those categories. And do I think he would struggle here in the big city? When things go get rough and pressure of the press comes after you, I think he will wilt under pressure and choose not to do certain things. You can't do that as a franchise QB. You got to be mentally tougher than that. And so that's when he was asked that question and he gave those responses. It was like painting a picture of Justin Fields, because he has all of those qualities, every last one of them. And remember this before you answer, kids. That kid is only a year younger than Justin Fields, and the emotional maturity between the two of those guys it's like night and day. It's like on two different paradigms or something, man. Absolute. Justin has showed absolutely that he can handle the pressure of being a Chicago Bear playing in Chicago, and he's strong when times are tough. And so that's when he answered it that way. It clued me into a whole lot of things, man. But go ahead.
Yeah, those are things that Poles. I like the way you framed it there, Nomad, because you could really take shots at Caleb Williams there in that respect, and you didn't. The fact of the matter is, the way that Poles phrased it really speaks to the person that he's had at House Hall for the last couple of years. That's really what that was about. He basically said, these leadership qualities, these qualities that I see in the guy that's in my building right now are paramount. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find another guy who could handle adversity quite as well as the guy we have here. These are all qualities, again, that Justin exudes. And I'm not going to be the guy who sits here and says that Caleb doesn't have any of those things. But again, it's up to Ryan Poles to evaluate and determine whether that's the case or not. Thus far, I'm not quite sure. Really, I'm not quite sure if he's going to I think Caleb's going to have a hard time dealing with Bears fans, and I'm being a realist. That's about that's the one negative thing that I will say here, and it's not really a knock on Caleb. It's probably much more of a knock on Chicago Bears fans.
I just think that he danced around a lot of. I shouldn't say danced. He danced. He stuck and moved. What I really think he did was all he did was give both sides sound. Right, he gave both sides sound bites to to gnaw on, to chew on, and he stayed down. It's down, pretty much down, non-committal. But I think that's the whole thing. Was that was his point? That was his purpose, was to stay non-committal. Because if he doesn't know, then you're going to have people saying, "Well, man, if I give him a big enough offer, he could come up off of that pick." That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. That the whole reason this thing was down there. He's testing the waters. He's going to be talking to people. He said it in the interview that his phone hasn't stopped ringing. His phone hasn't stopped, and nor will it. And that's what he's down. That's what he's down there for.
Shawn, if you don't mind, I'm gonna throw you an extra nugget in there too. Now I can't reveal the source. I don't know if it's reliable or not, but I didn't have time to really suss it out before the show. But I got a DM in my I got somebody went in my DM early this morning, and apparently it appears to be that the Commanders are trying to move heaven and earth to try to get up there and get that pick. Now I don't know how accurate that is. Like I said, I haven't sussed it out, but I thought it was ironic that somebody passed that on to me. That information on to me. I'm just like, why are you giving it to me? But I can't say anything speak anything for truth, but I know that made sense to me when I got that this morning, and I'll just leave it there.
Well, I didn't have anything, and that's the way I feel. And contrary to other people, like I don't have a source yet to, where I can say, what are my sources? I guess I could say it and be a BSer like some people, but I'm not going to do that. From what I feel, and you, just like you, Nomad, being a teacher for 15 years, coaching for 15 years, you have to learn how to read people. Growing up the way I did, you have to learn how to read people, and it's paramount. It's paramount. I just think, and I feel that this whole situation is that, Ryanpoles is setting up for something huge, and I'm excited about it. And I think the thing you brought up was being able to handle this pressure. Chicago media is not nice. It's not New York, but it's still not nice. And listen, the whole thing about
might be worse than New York, Shawn.
I was thinking the same thing, kids.
I don't know about that, but we could argue that at another show. But the thing about that is, like, I don't have any, but I can tell you that Washington wants Caleb. I told you why Washington wants Caleb. All right, this is okay. Apparently my speculation, but it makes a lot of sense. It's about the dollars. Asses in seats. Season ticket sales will jump. Jersey sales will jump. The new ownership group wants a return on investment immediately. How do you do that? You get the local kid who is a phenom. Again, I've never questioned his talent at all. Of course, he's got flaws. Of course, he's got stuff to work on. There's no perfect player, period. But bringing him back to DC to play in front of his home crowd is going to do wonders for that franchise, that new ownership group. It's going to do wonders for the NFL, because what if this guy, because the major outlets have the East Coast bias, just due to the population. I get it. I understand. You want him on the East Coast. All right. What if he beats the Giants or the Cowboys at home?
Ooh-wee.
Come on, man. Now the fervor is at a fever pitch, and you can't even go. It's going to go insane. And then they could be 3-14, but they beat one of their rivals at home.
Yes.
People that list for season tickets will quadruple because they're going to sell once he's drafted by them. But man, that waiting list is going to be a mile long. That's my take.
To piggyback on what you just said, Shawn, what it really comes down to is two things here, man. With regard to the Commanders and Caleb and them getting him, if they're able to move up to get him, is the cleansing from all the negative things attached to Snyder.
Thank
you. The new regime and ownership setting a new foundation and basically rebranding the team. What better to do it than to rebrand it with this individual who has been pegged as a generational talent with crazy arm talent, crazy arm throwing angles, all of that, On top of right now, what the NFL is actually in a position where I see that they're getting ready to kind of go kind of like the NBA when they're going to start branding players, making players and playmakers um, just as big as teams because the NFL is really based on teams. But I can see where it's going to be a slight pivot um, where you're going to start hearing more about players, and this could be the start of it now. You know, with all the talk around, are the Bears going to keep Justin or not? That kind of catapults the Chicago Bears and their potential star player if they choose to stick with Justin in that realm, and the Commanders who had a chance, who now went up and got their guy, and you have a Caleb Williams, this guy that was, a former Heisman Trophy winner. He's a generational talent. He's being compared to Mahomes. All of those things, you know. By
Keith,
doing so, man, I
you
mean,
forgot to mention local. He's a local. That's the thing.
yeah, and
He's a
local.
local. You didn't
I was,
mention he's a
yeah,
local kid, and
you're
that's the
absolutely
biggest
correct.
draw.
It is. It really is. And because of that, man, you know, why wouldn't you do everything possible to set your franchise up for the next 10 to 15 years to have this guy as the face of your franchise and to be that staple of your rebranding of your organization? To me, marketing wise, it's genius. Financial wise, it's genius. It just make all the sense in the world, as well as even for the Chicago Bears with regard to if they do choose to stick with Justin, what it would do for the organization. Now that, like I said, I've been saying for the last couple of days, the fact that we finally now have a front office with actual football minds and a young GM who's got years ahead of him to really plant himself as being pegged as one of
Yep.
the best GMs in the game if things really work out in relation to what we think it can be, you know. And then I'm just going to end it with this, going back to what some of the things that Poles has said with regards to what they're looking for in terms of that guy to lead their team and lead their locker room at that quarterback position. It goes back to one thing that he's been speaking on since the day he took over all the way up to today. It's all about the character of the person. Yeah, we're going to look at the talent of that individual, but for us, it's about the character of the person. And they've been in step unison together. That's Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles, and even Flus said it today as well in his presser. It's all about the character of the man. So we got to take the time as fans and as individuals with platforms and the media, take a step back, remove your emotions from it, and really allow your ears to work and listen to what is being said. And if you have the capabilities of reading body language, implement that as well. And I think it'll start becoming a lot more clear, and the scales will come off your eyes, and you'll start seeing what they're really trying to achieve here.
And listen, I'll tell you guys something, man. This is what you don't want to forget. There's a reason why Magic Johnson is in Washington. Number one, there's a reason why
Bingo.
he's there. Number two, there's a reason why Magic Johnson himself moved heaven and earth and stopped that plane mid-flight, and Antonio Pierce being able to get his offensive coordinator. That dude did a about face in the middle of the air and went to Washington. Magic Johnson made that happen,
Yep.
and there's a reason for that. Don't lose sight of that. All of that stuff happened for a reason. They are going to move heaven and earth to get that number one pick. And it's about how much of heaven and earth can we make them move. And when you get done thinking about it in that sense, and don't get so crazy and carried away with what was said and what wasn't said in today's presser, it adds up. It still adds up. Regardless of who wants to spin this any way they want to spin it. I am telling you guys right now, the plan was always to move this pick to number two, get in that spot, and figure out what they can do from there. What they can get from them, they're stretching it out, trying to figure out, what is it that we can, how hard can we shake this tree, and how many leaves can we get to come down off of it. And I think that's just where we are. Now, here's another thing. Um, when Flus was being asked, I can't remember the particular question, but it was in reference to what we need, and the value of the number one pick. And this, he said, the goal is to keep your options open, but with the number. Wait a minute, I take that back. This is Flus's quote. The first thing out of his mouth when asked about that, he said, we need depth. We just don't have enough of it." So when you isolate a statement like that, combine it with everything we've just talked about previously, Flus let a fraudulent slip out again. We need depth. We need depth. You ain't gonna fill the holes in this roster with no 6 damn picks if you take a quarterback at number one. You ain't. You're gonna be lacking. You just, that number one pick is going to get them the picks that they need to really fill out this roster with the depth that they know that they need. We feel like we're close, but we need to layer the depth, man. And you're not gonna do that with no one pick, man. I mean, with picking that number one, you just can't. That's just where it is.
If you
That's
go,
why I brought up yesterday that if we take it just a little step back to the Ryan Pace days, Ryan Poles coming in was short a draft pick due to the Justin Fields trade, and then had to flush out the entire team. We're just now coming back onto par with the draft pick case scenario, except he then had to trade another two, A for Chase Claypool, B for Montez Sweat. 1 out of 2 worked out, 50-50. Can't blame the guy. Mind you, he still needs capital to get to that depth case scenario that both him and Flus are really looking to get to. So once more, I expect the trade back because that's what will get you that capital.
and
Build
someone
that in.
talked about us. It's not us pushing. We're telling you what we think, and we're telling you from everybody's. We're looking at everything. We're not looking at, oh, he's got arm talent. Oh, he's the next generational, the best thing since sliced bread. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. Oh, okay. We're not looking at that. We're looking at something deeper, and we're giving you our opinion. Okay. There's certain things when you read the tea leaves, and there's certain things that you can see that some people might not be able to see, and that's understandable. Okay. But we're giving you a perspective. Okay. That's a little different. And if it conflicts with the mainstream media, then it conflicts with the mainstream media. If it was
So be it.
if it was congruent and similar to the mainstream media, then it would just be similar to the mainstream media. And we're not being contrarian just to be contrarian. We're being contrarian because this is what we see. This is what our eyes have seen. There's a lot of years of football playing and coaching, okay, on the screen, okay, and so we see things. We get a gut feeling. So, the holes that we have. Here's you if you draft Caleb, okay, you get a phenomenal talent, okay, but you don't get your wide receiver, okay. So now what do you do with 9? Now you have to take a wide receiver there, or do you take that edge rusher if he's there, or a left tackle if a left tackle falls? What if a left tackle falls? What if Olu falls? So now you're still not getting the wide receiver help you need for the new quarterback. And let's not forget, just because even if they do trade or they don't trade the number 1 pick, doesn't mean that they're drafting Caleb. There's a lot of reports now that Drake May has gone up. It doesn't mean there's just a lot involved going on here, and it's interesting. It's fun to watch. But I'm telling you, I'm going to make sure everything I say is my opinion, not it's fact. It's a reality. I know. Just reading body language, my own. Read and looking at it from a chess perspective as opposed to a checkers perspective, man, it all makes sense for the Bears not to keep this pick, to trade it, because they definitely, man, you trade this, then you can trade that number 9 pick. You can trade back again. Because if you trade back again and after not trading the first pick, yes, you get more picks, but now you're losing those top players that you want. So we'll see. Again, this is fun. It's interesting. But again, I think that the haul is better now and in the long run, because now we're going to get multiple first and second round picks, 25, 26. I don't even, maybe depending on who's crazy enough, maybe even 27.
Wow. I don't know how to follow that up, man. I mean, you hit it right on the head, honestly, Shawn. I mean, we're not asking anybody here to completely agree with us and we're definitely not trying to be puppeteers and get you to think the way we think. Again, this is our own personal opinions. My approach to everything, especially with regards to what's going on right now in free agency, and as well as what's getting ready to take place as far as the draft. I like to think outside the box, and I like to interject certain things to get you to think about what could be. With regard to, and let's be honest, if you've run any type of business of any sort, or if you are not even a business, if you are into just investing, you want a return on your investment. But with that, in order to do that, there has to be some multiplication involved. And last I checked, if you have, let's say, 5 or 6 picks for the entire draft, and you use that very first pick that can basically multiply into multiples, but you use that pick on this one guy, that's a big swing. And again, it's not taking anything away from that one individual's talent, whether it's Caleb, whether it's Daniels, whether it's Drake May, whoever that person may be. Heck, for that matter, you know, let's throw another spin on it. Let's just say they take that first pick and go get that wide receiver, that Marvin Harrison Jr. We still in a position where, okay, we got that receiver, but we still have other holes to plug. And with 5 remaining picks, with more than 5 holes that need to be plugged, how are you going to achieve that? So you have to get creative in regards to how are you going to multiply your picks. That's why I believe that there's a possibility of that pick being traded back twice, because now it gives you more of an opportunity to plug more holes. Yes, you do have free agency before the draft, and you can address some areas there. But even with that, we got to also look at depth. And what depth do we need at certain positions? Because we definitely know one thing for sure: the O line needs depth. We got hurt last season because of the lack of depth
Every
on our
season.
offensive line. Absolutely. Even the
Every
defensive line, for that matter. We need depth at defensive line. We need some depth at linebacker. I mean, we have holes to plug, and unfortunately, six picks just won't cut it. We have to get Poles has to get creative and figure out a way to do it. And the only feasible way that makes sense, contrary to what everybody may think, is taking that number one pick, trading it back at least once, if not twice. And for that matter, there's a possibility to put that ninth pick into play and trade that back and get some more additional picks as
I
well,
knew he
to
was going to
really
say
just add it up and just say, okay, hey, now we go from starting out with 6 picks for the draft. You can end up with what, 12, 13, 14 picks? Now you've addressed the holes that needed to be plugged, as well as the depth for your team. And also, now let's talk about next year in the draft, next year's draft, and the year after that draft. It's all about getting yourself set up to where you can continue to run lean, but yet still be productive, and spread the money around like you need to. Look, like I said, the young man is young enough to, at some point, if he really pulls this off the way I think he can the next year or two, this young man can start being talked about as being one of the best GMs in the league if he does what I think he's going to do, which is add multiplication into the game and
So let,
address everything that need to be addressed. I don't,
let me
but
let
again,
me
that's just
let
my
me
opinion.
let me put a pin in this conversation right quick, because we're gonna pivot to what we came here to talk about, and some of these guys is gonna be at this combine. Let me put a pin in this. This is you and anybody listening to my voice. If you can hear me audible, I mean on an audio pod, or if you're watching me live, watching us live. Think about it in these terms. Where are the areas of need? Here, I can name them for you. Tackle, probably guard. You need some depth there, both of them. Center, that's 3. Um, Receiver, that's 4. Possibly another tight end, that's 5. Definitely on the defensive line, the edge rusher, that's 6. Maybe another tackle. I don't know if they do that in draft, free agency. I don't know. That's 7. And you definitely need 2 more safeties.
Bingo.
Not 1, but 2. You need Jaquan Brisker to have a qualified backup, and you need 2 more safeties that's roaming free deep. So I just named about 7 to 8, 9, roles that need to be filled here that we don't have the depth for. How do you get that done in 6 damn picks, man? You can't.
You can't. So just to double down on what you're saying here and what Keith sort of brought to light, I watched CHGO yesterday, and Adam Hogue did his draft. And there was nothing wrong with his draft. His draft was pretty good, except for the fact that he only had 6 picks. It was a real quick draft, y'all. It was a good draft, but real quick. And when I say real quick, what I'm really trying to say is you're just not getting the depth you're trying to get, especially of key high caliber starters, within the first 100 players of the draft. You're just not going to get that if you don't trade out. It's about that simple. And Adam showed it yesterday. I know he loves his draft, and again, I'm not knocking his draft. It was actually pretty well put together. He got a lot of players that I personally covet, but end of the day, it's only 6 guys, and Nomad just laid out, we need a heck of a lot more than that to get this thing on track. And Ryan said it again today. He's going to build through the draft. That's what I expect him to do.
Stop. Okay. Everyone stop it. You just want to be negative Nancy. You want to be Chicken Little. Okay, stop. All right. I see a couple people saying you can't do it in one draft. This isn't one draft. This is his second draft. Okay, it's not one draft. So stop being contrarian because you got PTSD. All right, we have a new front office here in Chicago. It's not the good old boys network like before. Okay, last year was one draft.
Shawn. Say that again,
not
Shawn.
The good old boys network like before. Okay, we had last year. We got a starting right tackle. Okay, we got a starting wide receiver. We got a starting cornerback last year. Okay, we have. This is not his first. It's not one draft. There's more picks that we have. So it's going to continue to build. And that's what you have to understand. And you're saying it's not going to happen in one draft. This is not one draft. All right. There's nobody. This is it. This is now you're adding more layers. And because we have that number 1 pick, because you have, all right, the Willy Wonka lucky lottery ticket. Okay. For all my people who read, and that was one of my favorite books. But anyway, okay, you got it. You can fill, and you're not going to be filling. And somebody said, just guys, are you serious? See, this is. I'm sorry, DC. You're right. It is the 3rd draft because they got Jaquan Brisker in first. Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon, your first draft, and then this is your the 3 last year. I include DJ Moore in there because that was part of that draft with the pick. Okay, so you're getting boom, 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 boom. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense for me. All right. Okay, to get this haul. I don't. It's funny why people are so quick to say, and whoever said that earlier, like it's just guys. These are 1st and 2nd round picks. These are not just guys. We're not getting 5th round picks. We don't have 7 picks in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. No, the picks that we're getting, a lot of them are going to be 1st and 2nd round picks. Those are not just guys. You don't get. You're not trading the number 1 pick.
Talking about potential starters, man. And
your 1st and 2nd round picks are dudes that you want. So even 3rd round picks.
Let's go ahead. Let's put a pin in it because I know this can carry the rest of the show, man. And I know
we'll do it all week, y'all. Let's keep going.
I mean, it's not going anywhere, man. It's going to be unless we get news overnight that boom, they made a move. We're going to be this conversation isn't going anywhere, man. But let's do a pivot, man, because Shawn is right. Just to add this to the end, man, it's not about how many you can get, it's where you can get them and the caliber of the player that you could potentially draft. You're talking about day 1 starters that they can get in that first 3 to 4 picks, maybe. Day 1 starters. So just keep that in mind when you start talking about this one effing player that's never played a down in the NFL, man. You can calm down, man. But all right, let's pivot, man. Let's talk about the thumbnail, man. We're talking about who are your crushes at the combine, man, and we could start by position.
But first, let's do station ID.
Catch Nomad live pregame 1 hour prior to kickoff and Nomad at night postgame, and every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Central on all the most popular streaming platforms, and only on the Nomad Network.
Hit that like, hit the subscribe button for this network and also over there for Sports Zone Chicago. Why? Because you like us. Why? Because you know we do a damn good job over here. And we don't let you down. We give it to you the way we see fit. And that's just being fair, open, and just giving you a little bit more layered, nuanced information to really think about. I don't know anybody else that really does. You got to kind of read between the lines and make sure you're giving your audience the best that you can give them. And I think we do a pretty good job at that over here. So keep pushing us along, turn us into the beast that you want us to be. And you do that by helping us out, by liking, subscribing, and sharing the content with other people and hitting that notification bell so that whenever we go live, you know exactly when we're doing it. And so just do that for us, man. You got us rolling. Let's keep the snowball rolling downhill, people. Go and get you some extra email addresses and give us some extra subs, whatever you need to do. But we do appreciate the love, man. It is absolutely reciprocated, everybody. But let's get into this. The person on the thumbnail, in case you don't know, I mentioned him last night. If you watched, shout out to J2K too, by the way. That was a hell of a mock draft last night.
Yes, it was.
And in that conversation, I put a name in the chat right before we got out of the show. The guy's name is Marcus Harris, 3-tech from Auburn. He's the face on the thumbnail. That's one. I know we got to talk about positions, and we're going to get to that. But that's the guy I'm be paying a lot of close attention to. He, Dominique Hampton, a few other guys. But let's start with running back. I know you guys, we talked about this kind of already, but kids, who's your running back crush that you want to pay attention to at this combine?
I got a couple, but I'll keep it down to one. I'm really interested in seeing Bucky Irving. I think Bucky Irving, again, being a Chicago kid, I think he's a perfect fit to add that, that shiftiness, that east-west we don't really have on this team. That's me. That's the guy I'm looking to see. Again, there's a couple of more backs that I'm interested in seeing because I'm worried that Bucky Irving may go a little bit earlier than expected.
All right, Shawn.
There's two. One, I like Marshawn Lloyd from USC. All right, but I also like Audrey Adime. I forgot. I don't want to butcher his name. Young man out of Notre Dame. Estime. I like him.
You like Audrey Estime? Yeah, he's really good.
I like him a lot. He's got some top end speed, and I think that adds another layer. I don't remember how much they used him coming out of the backfield at Notre Dame. All right, but I think one of the issues that you're going to have to deal with, regardless what a guy coming out is pass pro. All right, and you're going to want to be. You're not going to want to put him in certain situations. You're going to want to put him in maybe for a series or 3 or 4 plays at a time. But he's one guy that could take it to the house in a heartbeat. And you know what? That's one thing I don't think we have. I think Khalil Herbert is a really good outside zone. Oh yeah, I see you, I see you, Chris. I think Khalil Herbert is a really good running back. He's got really good speed. He just doesn't have home run speed like Estime. And if you can, you put someone like that in there, who can take it to the house anywhere, man, that's an added dimension, because one person in the wrong spot, one person fills the wrong hole. Pause. Okay. Then man, it's a house call.
So guys, before you respond, Keith, I put, because we ain't gonna have time, we're gonna have to try to whip through these positions.
Yeah, you're right.
And I just put my running backs to look out for in the draft: Rasheen Ali and Jace McClellan. So if you guys want to know my take on that, but go ahead, Keith. My bad.
Mine is Bucky Irving, man. That's who I'm really wanting to see. But more importantly for me, how I always approach the combine each and every year, I really look for those that nobody else is really checking for and see who really just jumps out, man. Who just separates themselves, was kind of in the middle of the pack or down at the bottom of the pack, and nobody really expected them to, make an impression. I'm looking for that guy. That's who I'm really looking to check for. Yeah, I know Bucky's gonna come out and do his thing, but I'm looking for that guy that nobody else is checking for. I want that person to emerge. I'm always for the underdog, man. I've always been that guy that shoots for the underdog, and especially this particular draft season, I'm really checking for the underdogs.
All right, so let's keep it pithy and keep it moving, man. And we're gonna go to receiver. Go ahead, kids. Let me, because I'll just type mine in just for the sake of time, so we can keep moving. You're on mute, kid.
Me and the damn mute button. The list of receivers is so vast this year that I'm gonna look at other guys really. So we all know the guys that you would normally be talking about. I'm a little bit interested in Lad McConkey. Lad's getting a lot of looks, a lot of words. Other guys I'm looking at, Xavier Worthy. I think Xavier Worthy could be a great fit for this team by way of punt return, kick return, as well as wide receiver. I think he'd be a bit of a triple threat if you include the special teams. A couple more guys. Luke McCaffrey. If he's anything like the daddy and the brother, hey, he's worth a late rounder for sure. Right? Like that's all I got to say. Now, I'm going to preface it with this for those of you who are not as familiar with Ed McCaffrey as some of us here on the panel. A famous quote, and it's one of my favorite quotes from Shannon Sharp's brother, Sterling Sharp. Sterling Sharp at one point, he was talking to Shannon way back in the day, and they were just chopping it up. Sterling kind of turned around and he says, "Man, I can backpedal faster than Ed McCaffrey." And it's just one of those things it always kind of bounces around the back of my head. Even as much as I hate the Green Bay Packers, I have a lot of respect for Sterling Sharp and what he was able to do during his time there. Ed McCaffrey wasn't the fastest guy on the block, but if we don't, if Luke McCaffrey doesn't put in some sort of ridiculous 40 time, which I have a feeling he won't, I still have a feeling that he has all the other measurables. Both of his parents are athletes. His mom's a soccer star to some degree. Obviously, his dad's a football player, and his brother's also a football player with the same pedigree. So if he trains anything like Christian, I would still be interested if he's not super duper lightning fast. Many more guys, but I'll throw it down to Shawn, man. Who are you looking at wide receiver?
3. I want Roman Wilson. I want to see him. Give me a slot guy who's daring and likes yak, and I think he's one of those guys who can get it. Xavier Leggett, I think his stock has dropped, and that's excuse me. I think I want to see how motivated he is to get his stock back up. And then Brendan Rice, I want to take him with a late. I take a flyer on him in the late rounds because I'm sure he's got an ego. He's got a lot to live up. A lot to live up to. Another late round flyer on a guy, son of a Hall of Famer.
Very key.
Mine, Brian Thomas Jr. I want to see, especially if he works out. Hopefully he does. Keon Coleman.
Nice.
Okay.
Keon Coleman. And I want to put an eye on Brendan Rice as well. What I'm really going to be looking for out of all the receivers that do work out, I really want to see who's got the soft hands. That's going to be important to me, to see who really has the soft hands. Of course, you're not going to get a lot of stuff is scripted, but I really want to see who has the soft hands. That's what's going to really tell for me. And again, like I said, and this is consistent throughout the entire combine for me. And I want to see that one or two guys that just jump out that nobody else was checking for.
All right. For the sake of speed, we're going to jump to tight ends, man. Just try to be quick about it.
Wait, Malachi Corley, the Yak King.
Yeah, we know you
Kid
love
from Western Kentucky. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to jump to tight ends right quick. I'm just going to type mine in again and let these guys go ahead and tell people who they'll be looking at. Go ahead, kids.
Dallin Holker, I believe is the last name. A little bit interesting. He's a big boy, so I'd be interested to see what he's able to do, especially in the 40. If he can put down some decent speed, he might be impressive. He looks like a guy who's got that wingspan, 50-50 ball case scenario. So I'm interested there. I'll skip over my normal second guy and go to my third guy. I'll leave him for you guys because I'm sure you'll be looking at him. My third guy is Trey Knox. Trey Knox is fast. He's a weapon. So I'm kind of interested in Trey. Trey's a little bit. He ain't 6'6" is really what I'm saying. I think he's around 6'3", 6'4". A little bit smaller, a little bit less by way of wingspan, but a little bit more by way of speed and actual like receiver caliber. So I have a little bit of interest in Trey Knox too. What about you, Shawn?
Yeah, Dallin Holker was one of my guys too that I want and I'm looking forward to. I just like him. Obviously, Brock Bowers is a stud, but for whatever reason, Ja'Tavion Sanders from Texas.
Ja'Tavion Sanders.
Yeah, he's a little shorter at 6'4". I mean, I like I'd rather have the tight ends that we pick 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". Okay, but if you're able to get the job done, that's cool. Those measurables. I mean, once you're over, it's 6'4" is like the bottom, but those are my tight ends.
Well, actually, Nomad and I share one, which is Ben Sinot. Definitely want to see what Sinot. I want to see what he looks like, and I'm with you kids on Holker. He caught my eye when I watched the Colorado State Colorado game, and what I'm looking for the Bears is not so much a guy that can do both, that can go out and catch a pass, but I'm also looking for somebody that can help in run support. So I want to see what guys can really show that they're strong in blocking, So that's my take on it.
All right, let's jump right out of that into.
So before you do, Jakeem Bell, I'll leave that one there. Let's go.
Bell, yeah, of course.
There you go.
I don't see Jakeem Bell is going to be a weapon, man. He's not going to be your typical tight end. He'll end up on a team.
I just thought one of you guys would have grabbed Jakeem Bell at some point, but nobody did.
I consider him an absolute weapon, man. There's no telling how some teams are going to use him. Typical tight end, I don't see it. He doesn't have the measurables, man, but he can do so many different things with the ball in his hand. He could end up being a running back for all the hell we know, man. We don't know.
You know what?
Yeah, you're right. He could be
H-back, like a fullback. Yeah, you can see him maybe even being used in a fullback capacity.
So on this one, let's do this one because we got interior alignment and we got tackles to talk about, even center. So just give me one of each, whether it be, let's just say interior alignment could be guard or center that you want to watch for, and just a tackle to watch for. I'm going to write mine in the chat. Go ahead, kids.
So for me, if we're talking, I'll leave center alone, and I will say Mahogany and Haynes. Those would be the two guys that I'm interested in as far as offensive guard is concerned. I don't consider offensive guard a major requirement in this draft personally, but Ryan Poles may feel differently. So, those are the two guys that hold my interest.
Cedric Van Pran for Georgia.
Yes, sir.
He plays both. All right, he plays both guard and center. And so for him, I like that. And then JPJ, if we're talking center from Oregon, or Schmitz from West Virginia.
Okay, Keith.
I always butcher his name. The kid from Penn State, man. Fashanu.
Olu.
Olu Fashanu.
Yeah, him. And I want to check out Amarius Mims out of Georgia.
Okay.
Different kid. I'm looking for somebody to really stand out, man. This one it's too easy to look at for the guys that we already basically hear about, but for some reason this year I'm really looking for somebody just to jump out, man. I'm rooting for that underdog.
All right. Well, here we go. We're about to jump to the defensive side of the ball.
Before you do, one final note. Cooper Beebe as well is a guy we probably should have talked about. Black Belt Ben just kind of brought his name up into the chat, so I figured I'd throw him out there too. He's solid as well. I want to see more though.
Okay, got you, man. All right, let's start with these D tackles. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write a defensive tackle and an edge rusher. Mine is gonna be he's gonna be a tackle and an edge rusher mixed. One of them is anyway. So let's start with D tackle and edge rusher. Who are two guys you're going to be looking at?
Holy smokes. So many D tackles to look at, dog. Really, I'll do I'll do you guys a favor, and I'm going to start with Tyler Davis. I want to see Tyler Davis. I expect a little bit more. I think he's got some stuff, but I want to see it in the combine. As far as edge rusher is concerned, as far as defensive edge, geez, man, I kind of want to see Adiza Isaac and Braylon Trice.
Yes.
Those are two guys I kind of want to see. I want to see how they stack up against those other upper echelon guys.
Go ahead, Shawn.
I still want to see the big man. Saw him in Mobile. All right, but that's Tavondre Sweat from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He's a dude like, what is he, 427 pounds and runs like a 5
He's a large lad, and apparently he moves quite quickly too for his size.
Yeah, and he's powerful. Edge rusher. Yeah. Just pass on that one. I didn't get to look at the edge rushers, so I'm not gonna.
It's all good. It's all good. Go ahead, Keith.
Well, Adisa Isaac, since he was really brought to my attention with J2K, but I'm a Sweat guy. You know, being down here in Texas, you get a chance to watch some UT ball, and the kid is, for his size, man. You know, he's gonna be a wrecking ball. And one other player, man, that kind of caught my eye that I want to check out is this kid out of Utah, man, Jonah. What is it? Ellis?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to put an eye
In
on
relation to
him.
Luther?
No, I don't know. But those are my guys, and of course, Kez, you and I, we share the same one. So,
all right, okay. So here we go.
There's one more. Muhammad, is it Kamara? I think is the last name. Muhammad Kamara. Kamara, I think is the last name. I'm interested in those later round DEs. Again, I want to see how they stack up because on tape and by way of production, those first 5 defensive ends are, they really separate themselves from the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
But I want to see how they stack up by way of physicality out there doing stuff. So it should be fun to watch in the combine.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to jump right on over to linebacker. I already got mine typed up and ready to fire send. Go ahead, kid.
Let me guess who you're going to send. It's probably going to be Maris Leofau. Am I guessing right?
That's one of them. You must.
Okay, just checking. He's super solid. There ain't nothing wrong with Maris, man. Nothing at all. So linebacker for me are two guys who would play both linebacker and safety. They're listed as linebackers for the most part. I've seen them both play safety. I think they can play either and do it at a very high level for the Chicago Bears. First one being Peyton Wilson. Kid's nuts. I don't believe, again, that linebackers really a key focus for the Bears this time around, given the linebacking core we have today. But if you can get Peyton Wilson on your team, I wouldn't be mad at you. I'm also now going to throw the second guy that I have, and that's James Williams. James Williams, 6'3", safety for the most part, very athletic, hard-hitting, rangy, length. I'm interested in putting both of those guys on the squad in either a linebacker or safety role. I'm starting to lean a little bit more to James Williams now because he's more of a safety / linebacker than a linebacker / safety, just because of his length, right? So that might be a great way to help fill out Eddie Jackson's situation. What about you, Shawn? What do you think?
For some reason, I don't know why, and I just got a couple games of his and not even a lot. I just want to see how, excuse me, Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Okay.
I want to see how he performs at the combine. I know he's got a pretty recognizable name, and if you notice, a couple of my picks have been names that we've recognized because they're second generation players. So I want to see him.
Tommy Eichenberg out of Ohio State is
Yep.
one for me. And another kid that I'm just don't know if he will fit our system, but I followed the kid since he's been at A&M, which is Edrin Cooper.
Yep, I'm really glad you brought him up. He's fantastic as well. Once more, still don't think we're really going into the linebacker market, but another guy
Right.
that I'd be very interested on the
Yeah,
spot.
I enjoy watching him on Saturdays, man. So he's a kid that I just want to see be successful. Period. Whether he's one of us, whether we pick him or not. I just think the kid's got awesome motor. He's got some amazing skills, and I think wherever he lands, he's going to be spoken about on Sundays.
All right,
Yes, sir.
let's jump to the DBs. Do me a favor, guys. Let's give me safety. There's one safety and one corner. I think if anybody's been following the Nomad Network, if you watch the shows on a regular basis, when we got to those position groups, you should be able to tell exactly what safety and what corner I'm going to be talking about.
So I won't burst your bubble on your safety because I'm pretty sure I know where you're going. You know what I mean? I will talk about the guys that I really, man. Similarly, I don't really see us doing the cornerback thing, but if we do, there's so many in this list that I like. I'll start with safety though. Safety, I'm all day Tyler Nubin. Major reason why, very similar to Bucky Irvin, another Chicago, Illinois guy. So I know Poles has he likes to bring hometown guys back home as part of the squad. So I could see him potentially focusing on both of those gentlemen. But Nubin's he fits the mold, man. He really does. As far as CB is concerned, geez, man. I'm blanking. We'll come back to cornerback for me. Who do you think, Shawn?
Safety, you turned me on to him. I know, so I'll let you ride with him. Nomad, your guy. But I like Tyler Nubin as well. I looked at him, Kez, and I really like Tyler Nubin. Like, give me some big free safety guys who are playmakers, and the thing about him is he's a thumper. I like the fact that he's a thumper. Yeah, just to cut a short time. Tyler Nubin and a cornerback. I don't know. I thinking as well.
So okay, so I'll give you the corner before you go, Keith, and I'll give you two. TJ Tampa is awesome. He's fantastic, and he would fit the mold so well. The second guy is much more just a guy I like, and that's Mike Samuel. He's really good, but he's a little bit small. He's on the smaller side. Personally, I would rather a corner, if we do get him, to be a little bit more rangy, have a little bit more length. But this kid hits hard.
He's definitely a slot corner, but
he's a slot.
Draft one, man. To be honest with you, we need that depth.
I agree. I like him. He's got motor, man. What are you saying, Keith?
Well, safety, I think it's a consensus for Tyler Nubin, man. I like the kid, but at corner, Quinion Mitchell. I like that kid out of Toledo, man. I think he's going to be a gamer. Everybody. Of course. Many are gonna say, well, he didn't play against that top tier talent. But I think this kid is gonna come in. You talk about somebody coming in with a chip on their shoulder. That's gonna be this kid right here. He reminds me of a Peanut Tillman.
Okay,
I'm gonna put him in that class. I'm gonna put him in that class right there, Peanut Tillman. And the fact that he attends the same college in which Flus went to and played linebacker for. So just pay attention to that.
All right, man. I think we covered everything, man. We got to it all. Let me give you guys a little heads up. We're talking about doing an extra Nomad at night tomorrow night around 7:30 or 8 o'clock. If you guys would like that, show us a thumbs up. Give you an extra Nomad at night tomorrow, man, around 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Would you like that? And that's on top of the show we'll do at 1 o'clock tomorrow, 1 o'clock Central. But we want to get into the Wednesday night space and see what kind of gains we can make there. And so that being said, man, I just want to let's give everybody a shout out before we get ready to get out of here, kid.
Hey, man, lots of love in the chat. I'm just looking to see I'm just looking to see which safeties you put in as yours, and Hampton was not a surprise. That was exactly what I thought you'd put in, but I also thought you might have went with Kitano Ladapo, so I had to double check. In any event, No Maniacs, thanks for joining us again today. It's been awesome chopping it up with the homies here. Chris, what's up, man? What do you got to say?
Hey, man, I want to jump in and say real quick how proud I am to have Ryan Poles as our GM. This is a young man that he handles himself with such poise. And,
Class.
Yeah, he's just at his age. I mean, the guy's not even 40 years old yet. You know, the way he handles himself, uh, he has gained my trust. And, you know, with all the negative images we are fed daily of young black men, to see him handle himself at that high level, it really makes me proud. So I just wanted to add that in. I totally trust Ryan Poles to get this job done. So that's all I needed. Everybody in chat, thanks for joining us. Love you guys. Guys on the panel, love you fellas. Brian in the back, you're killing it. And bear down.
Go for it,
Away he
kid.
goes. Yeah, hey man, I was just going around the horn. I got what I needed to get out of it. Again, thanks for joining us all, and big up to my fellas here. Always a blessing to be on the show with you all. Shawn, what do you got?
My sports owners and my no maniacs, unite! No. Again, thanks for coming. One of Twin Powers, activate. Just make sure you give us Sports Zone Chicago a follow. That'd be appreciated. And we love the support, man. We love the support. All right, we're a little different. Again, we're not claiming, we have this, we have that. We give you what we feel. We give you what we see. There's a lot of football experience, a lot of playing experience, coaching experience, and it's just different from other people. And we're not trying to make you convince. We're not trying to convince you. You think what you want. We're just presenting it, and you do your own research.
Yes, sir. Hey, to our No Maniacs, once again, thank you for following us and jumping on with us today. And again, as always, love seeing all the commentary going on in the chat. To the sports owners out there, thank you for following us as well. And I know Maniacs, let's go over there and show some support to Shawn over at Sports Zone, please. Let's make sure we go over there, we like, subscribe, and share his content as well. Great content. More importantly, to my guys on the panel, as always, I love chopping it up with you guys and talking Bears football. You know, I'm gonna end it with this, man. Like I said last night, I'm gonna continue it until we hear something. It's all about the character of the person, and that's in life, period. But more importantly, with the decisions that Ryan Poles have to make, Chris, you said it best, man. I'm also as proud of Ryan Poles because I think he's handling himself with ultra class, and I think he's got a great handle on it with regards to he's not going to be bullied to do anything that he doesn't want to do. He's going to do what's best for the organization, for the team, and with that, we have to respect that. So I'm gonna end it with that. Everybody have a great rest of your afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow, as well as if we go live tomorrow night, jump on in and chop it up with us then as well. All right, Nomad.
Amen. Well, let me just thank everybody. Thank all y'all for just being bomb ass supporters, man. Y'all are the SHIT, and we love y'all for being like that, man. And I'll just leave you and be short with this. Let me tell you what you saw at the presser today. One more last time.
One more game.
Grade A gamesmanship by a guy that has a good head on his shoulders and knows how to handle a situation that he's been presented with, a gift that he's been presented with. Grade A gamesmanship. Gamesmanship is what you saw out of Ryan Poles today. That's all it was. It's really all it was. Anybody twisting it and turning it in ways that benefit them, just block it out. That was just pure gamesmanship. That's all it was to it. And we'll just leave you guys with that. But before we go, I gotta always leave you with these famous words: love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Bear down, y'all.
Bear down.
Bear down.